Life in Denver, Colorado was anything but easy for Laura Thompson. At just 32, she was a single mom, juggling 2 jobs while raising her 8-year-old son, Jake. Their apartment was small. The bills piled up faster than she could pay them, and most nights she came home exhausted. Yet when Jake hugged her tightly and whispered, "I love you, Mom," all the weight of her struggles felt lighter. For Laura, his smile was her strength. She worked long shifts at a small neighborhood diner, where the smell of fresh coffee and sizzling bacon filled the air each morning. Locals knew her as the kind waitress who always wore a tired smile, even on the toughest days. She rarely spent on herself, saving every extra dollar for Jake's school supplies, rent, or groceries. One chilly evening, after finishing a double shift, Laura picked up Jake from her neighbor's apartment and stopped by the grocery store on their way home. The store was crowded, the aisles buzzing with people grabbing last-minute dinners. Laura balanced a small basket filled with bread, milk, and fruit, the bare essentials she could afford. While waiting in line at the checkout, Laura noticed a well-dressed man ahead of her. He looked successful, maybe in his mid-40s, wearing an expensive suit. But suddenly his face turned pale. He clutched his chest, gasped for air, and collapsed to the floor. Gasps erupted around the store. Shoppers froze, some screamed, others fumbled for their phones. Nobody moved to help. But Laura's instincts kicked in. Without hesitation, she handed her basket to Jake, knelt beside the man, and checked for a pulse. His breathing was shallow, his lips slightly blue. "Call 911, she shouted, her voice firm and commanding. Jake, frightened but brave, echoed her call until a cashier dialed emergency services. Laura positioned her hands on the man's chest and began CPR, pressing firmly in a steady rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. She counted aloud, her voice shaking but determined. Sweat formed on her brow as she kept pushing, giving rescue breaths between compressions. The crowd stood in stunned silence, watching a waitress in a diner uniform fight to keep a stranger alive. Minutes felt like hours. Just as Laura's arms began to ache, paramedics burst through the doors. "Step aside, ma'am, we've got him," one EMT said, but not before glancing at her with admiration. She stepped back, trembling, as the professionals took over. The lead EMT turned to her and said, "You may have just saved this man's life. If you hadn't acted so quickly." He didn't need to finish the sentence. Laura nodded quietly, brushing Jake's hair back and whispering, "It's okay, sweetheart. He's going to be fine." She gathered her son's hand and walked out into the cold evening, heart pounding from the adrenaline. She never expected to see the man again. To her, it was just an act of human kindness, something anyone should do. What Laura didn't know was that the man she had just saved was Daniel Carter, a powerful CEO and millionaire, one of the most successful businessmen in Colorado, and he would never forget the woman who gave him a second chance at life. Weeks passed, and Laura's life fell back into its usual rhythm. Early mornings, long shifts at the diner, late nights helping Jake with homework. She hadn't given much thought to the man she saved. To her, it was a moment of human decency. She never expected it to return to her life in any way. But one chilly afternoon, while she was refilling coffee mugs for the regulars, the bell over the diner door jingled. In walked a tall man in a crisp navy suit. The chatter in the diner seemed to quiet as people turned their heads. Laura froze when she recognized him. It was the man from the grocery store, alive, healthy, and smiling. He walked straight to the counter, his eyes soft with gratitude. "You're the woman who saved my life," he said, his voice calm but full of emotion. Laura's cheeks flushed. "I just did what anyone would have done," she murmured, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. But Daniel shook his head firmly. "No," everyone else froze. "You didn't hesitate. I owe you everything." From that day on, Daniel began stopping by the diner regularly. At first, Laura thought it was just to thank her again, but soon it became clear he wanted more than that. They talked about life, about Jake, about the little things. He was a man of wealth and power, but when he sat across from her sipping coffee from a chipped diner mug, he seemed grounded, even ordinary. Laura remained cautious. She had been hurt before, abandoned by Jake's father, and she couldn't imagine someone like Daniel truly being interested in a woman like her. She was a single mom, struggling to pay rent while he was with more money than she could fathom. Their worlds couldn't be more different. Yet the more time they spent together, the harder it became to deny the connection. Daniel didn't just see her as the woman who saved him. He saw her strength, her kindness, and the way she worked tirelessly to give her son a better life. One evening, Daniel invited Laura and Jake to dinner at a family-friendly restaurant. Jake was shy at first, but Daniel patiently asked about his favorite sports, his favorite superheroes, and even helped him cut his hamburger. By the end of the night, Jake was laughing openly, something Laura hadn't seen in a long time. As weeks turned into months, Daniel continued showing up, not with grand gestures of wealth, but with consistency, warmth, and sincerity. He made Jake feel valued, and he made Laura realize Daniel wasn't looking down on her life, he admired it. He admired her resilience, her love for her son, and the way she never gave up despite her struggles. Laura had once believed her life would always be a battle of survival. But standing beside Daniel, she discovered something she never expected: a chance at love, security, and happiness. The poor single mom who once thought she had nothing now realized she had everything she needed: family, love, and a future she had never dared to dream of.